But this is not going live. I am here with Andrew Roberts, and Andrew Roberts is co-host of the popular Baker Street Property Meet, supporting 300 plus property investors every month. He is a leading edge property coach and mentor. Reach out for his support if you need it. He teaches the Succeed in Property Commercial Mastermind. He runs a specialist planning consultancy with a 100% success rate first time. And he is a judge on the Property Investors Rewards 2024. I mean, wow, what an honor to have you here, Andrew. So my first question to you today is, and I'm going to pop it in here. As a co-host of the Baker Street Property Meet, how often do you find that intellectual property such as trademarks play a crucial role in property investment strategies, I wonder?
That's a tough question, Celeste. I mean, there's two sides to that. There's the average property investor who is buying a building and converting it. And the way I recommend people do it is to take advantage of government legislation that enables you to do it quickly and easily. And that is under what we term permitted development rights. So with there, you're not actually creating anything that's intellectual property. What you're doing is you're taking legislation and applying it to a building to uplift the value of it. In terms of the two other elements, so if I sort of break your question down into three sections, if I may, you've got the intellectual property such as trademarks and investment strategies. So that covers the general conversion process. In terms of investment strategies, there are around about 276 investment strategies in property, believe it or not. And I did a video series on my YouTube of each of these, sort of breaking it down into a bite-sized 3 or 4 a week for quite a number of weeks with a colleague, so that it educates people on that.
Now, so that is your intellectual property then?
Well, is it mine? The YouTube is mine, and that is the intellectual property. The knowledge itself, for argument's sake, most people are aware of houses and you can invest in those. You've also got commercial buildings like a shop, a warehouse, an office. But then that spins down into you can invest in car parks, for argument's sake, as a different investment strategy. Then within commercial, you could say hotels, but some hotels actually license the room. So that's a different type of strategy again. And it goes on and on and on in terms of different ways of investment strategies. So, acquiring a piece of land, adding planning permission, and then selling it is one strategy. And buying a piece of land, adding value through planning, and then building out is a different strategy because you're actually implementing what you've just gained. So the intellectual property there would be around the YouTube channel and, shall we say, my quirky way of presenting things with my humor that takes rather dull subjects and brings them alive.
Which is so important, by the way.
It absolutely is, because a lot of things, I've done a series on planning, just basically explaining complex topics such as planning in a very simple layman's way, but done with humor. And it engages with an audience. And that is where, shall we say, the bright spark moments are. So that's one side of it. And then if I paraphrase the very start of your question, the co-host of Baker Street Property Meet, within the property industry, there are a number of networking events. And there are a few people who've joined franchises to basically host an event, bring people together and use the franchisor to actually deliver a networking event. Those events tend to have different trademarks and brands that they protect and sort of then license it down to the franchisees to operate that franchise. In terms of the Baker Street, we're a single event meeting. We call ourselves independent of franchise networks. So what you get when you come to our event is you're not sold anything. When you go to a franchise event, you're often sold a training course, a product, invest in this, invest in that. Whereas what we do is say, we don't sell you anything. We give you our knowledge, we give you our expertise, and we help you to stay at the cutting edge of where the market is, the changes in the market, and how you can make money from a changing marketplace, which is contrarian to what other people do. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
And that's
So
me,
I
a contrarian.
Sorry?
That's me, a contrarian.
Yeah. So I can't help thinking, despite those things being free, you might still want to have a trademark that you can have your ideal client drawn to.
Yes.
How
Yeah.
would that
Well,
feel?
I mean, in terms of what I do, I trade as property with Andrew. It pretty much says what it does on the tin. How many Andrews are there in the world that are called Andrew? There's a lot of property investors called Andrew. So to me, that's quite unique, quite special. And people generally reach out to me because they resonate with my style. I'm a pretty no-nonsense sort of guy. I'm not afraid of telling people, I think you're making the wrong mistake here. Have you thought about X, Y, and Z? And, pointing out shortcomings, but also giving people shortcuts to get to where they want. And this sort of comes down to my approach. I read a lot of legislation, and I use that legislation for competitive or commercial advantage. And if I liken it to, there's a sign on a wall in a playground and it says no ball games here. Well, I'll go play badminton because it's not a ball game. And what I do is I look for, I read a lot of legislation and I look for bits where it says, thou shalt not do this. And then I effectively guide people through that gaping hole to help them to achieve results. So it's, I play lots of games. I have lots of fun. I'm very mischievous as a person. I'm very sort of driven as a person as well, in life
Yeah,
and
that's the
in business.
impression I get.
So to me, I like having fun, and that is fun to me, because then what you end up finding is you either funnel a load of people through a hole, and then the hole gets closed in the future, and you think, did a good job for a while. Now let's use the other hole I found. Or the hole stays there because government look at it and go, well, actually, to be fair, you're doing the right thing. And sometimes, well, not sometimes, pretty much all the time, legislation is so badly drafted. It's terrible.
All right. So next question here. With your extensive experience as a property coach and mentor, what advice do you give your mentees about protecting their brand names through trademarks to enhance their business credibility? Because they might have a business that they're wanting to earn money with. So could it be that they had a situation where they needed a trademark despite you not having one?
Yeah, I think it's where I come at this from is very much their businesses tend not. A lot of traditional businesses have what I call goodwill. So that is intellectual property that they've built up, which is here. It's in the hearts and minds of their customers and their suppliers, and they want to do business with them. With property, the valuations and the methodologies coming from an accounting perspective here tend to be linked to the asset value. Now, where the intellectual property and the trademarks come in is very much a lot of people then try and build and do so successfully a social media presence. However, a lot of people don't actually think about it before they set out, and they end up with weird names on social media. You know, we've all probably seen people and you think, that's not a good brand. Myself, I created the property with Andrew. It says what it does on the tin. And I look at that and I go, from a branding perspective, people are buying into the concepts, the idea that I'm a fun person to work with. I challenge the status quo, and they resonate with the value set that I have of doing good business and raising standards and pushing boundaries. And that is intellectual property, whereas most people are not protecting theirs by firstly choosing some spurious social media identity, but secondly, then not protecting it. And they should do, to be fair. To be fair, they should. And so should I, if I'm actually going to be honest about that. You know, I've built up a reputation over a couple of decades of doing what I say and delivering results. Thing is, nobody's ever copied me. I don't think anybody's as mad as a box of frogs like me.
That is such a funny expression, though. Okay, so the next question here. Given your success with 100% success rate, how do you ensure that the unique brand identity of your clients is maintained during the planning process? Have trademarks been part of that strategy at all?
Trademarks haven't been part of that strategy, and this comes down to government forms. Basically, the government give you a bland tick box to put ticks yes or no in, which is great ordinarily. However, what I tend to do is I developed a system, and the system I developed is, okay, we put the ticks in the boxes to prove it. Then I write statements which basically take legislation and how we absolutely slam dunk that legislation in terms of surpassing the minimum criteria required in legislation. So I developed this system to basically help my staff to know that when they're applying for planning permission on behalf of one of our clients, we've covered off the criterion more than sufficiently adequately. And that way, we know we are doing a good job for our clients. Now, it's funny because councils often go, oh, I like the application that you've put. We're actually using it as a training resource for our staff internally. And I'm like, oh, wow, very flattering. However, what can I do?
Because they're actually stealing your content.
It's a public document. It's out there in the public domain on the planning portal, and anybody can copy it, and anybody can. I mean, the legislation is very clear. I have 28 things I need to satisfy. But
the fact that they are saying to you that they like your particular application and not the one from Mr. Johnson, for instance, means a lot. It means that you really do know what the beep you're doing, Andrew, and you should be rewarded for that by them for and not just by them saying, oh, look, we're going to use your words as a training material. No. They should bloody well hire you. Next time they say something like that, you say, hang on, you can hire me to do this for you so that you are ensured that it is actually as entertaining and mischievous as it's meant to be. Might not say that to them. But
oh, I do love you. Entertaining and mischievous. You know me too well. No, I mean, it's one of those I sort of look at and go, I am trying to prove to the council that I know the law and I exceed the criterion set in law so that you can give me a gold star and tell me I can build out a building.
I think you need 5 gold stars, to be honest.
Well, you're too kind.
No, I'm not. I'm not kind. I'm honest. You know that about me. I'm never kind. I'm honest.
You are honest. You're absolutely brilliantly honest. But in terms of this, the reward for me is being able to build out what we want to build. There is nothing worse. And the thousands of people I hear say to me, oh, I didn't get the planning permission, or the planning consultants didn't do it right. The law is the law. It's black and it's white. You know, it's a yes, I pass, and no, I don't. So I make sure it's a yes, we pass every time. And all I'm doing is saying, you know, you've asked me for a transport policy, for example. So we point out where the nearest bus stop is, where the nearest train station is, where cycle parking is, how they might park a car, where, you know, trains are. And we just put it on a map and tell them. It's not difficult. It's not rocket science.
For some people, it might be.
Well, for the majority of people, it is, because they don't look at it. And then if for argument's sake, we say that we have car parking spaces, most people will go, I've got 5 car parking spaces. We'll go, here's the car parking spaces. And in order to maneuver the cars so that they don't reverse onto the road, here is what we term the swept path of the car. So the turning circle of the car to maneuver to get back out onto the road. It's just doing the basics in my book, but you know, I have a bar that's set very up here, and most people's bar is down here. So
yeah. So apparently you are, as you say yourself, exceeding what they are expecting of you, which means that you have that high success rate. It's like with me, you know that I have a 100% success rate with registered trademarks. I'm not about to break that, Andrew, because why would I want to do that? I want my registered trademarks to be successful. I want my clients to have the success of saying, Celeste knows what she's doing. Let's have her do it. Let's not go to someone who just throws it into the machinery to see if it sticks. No, that's not ethical.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's my approach to it, is set a very high bar. And in setting my high bar, it's recognized and I'm consulted on by many within the industry, and I judge other people as well within the industry. So from that point of view, I'm recognized by lenders, by solicitors, by other planners, by other investors, and by my peer group. So
you have a strong brand.
Yeah.
You do acknowledge that. You do have a strong brand, actually.
Yeah.
All right. So the next question. As a judge for the Property Investors Rewards 2024, what importance do you place on property developers securing trademarks for their company names as part of their overall business strategy? This is not about you now. It's about all the others.
Yeah. I mean, it's a great idea. Lots of people develop logos, strap lines and so forth, which they become very proud of. And for those who are successful at what they do, it's important that you protect that identity. I mean, I have seen people trying to pass off as somebody else, similar company names, and we've all seen it, shall we say, in the shops where Nescafe might make coffee, but other supermarkets make coffee with a very similar label. And you think to yourself, oh, and they're looking to
even chocolate cake, when it comes down to it. Do you remember the issue with the caterpillar cake from, was it Lidl that was copying?
Oh, right.
Someone else? I can't. Was it Lidl that was copying? Oh, what was it?
Probably Marks and Spencer's. Or
Marks and Spencer's, I think. Yeah. And so we've seen it 1,000 times, and there is a reason why people actually do ask somebody like me to register their trademark. It's because they understand that what they are creating has value, and they want their clients to remain loyal to them. That's the whole point of the trademark, isn't it?
Very much so. And it's something that I think those who are or have values and are performing at the top of their industry, should take seriously. Should take very seriously. It's not in the traditional sense of a business where you're trying to protect goodwill and that sort of stuff, because property company balance sheets never have goodwill on them, because it's down to the bricks and the mortar of the assets. It's a very tangible industry, and it's not recognized within it for some strange reason. But I might be an accountant. I don't make the accounting policies.
So let's move on to the next one.
I like the way you're captioning this. It's very good.
It makes it easier for people to remember what it is that we're talking about. So in your role leading the Succeed in Property Commercial Mastermind, how do you guide property developers on the importance of trademarks in scaling their business, achieving greater recognition?
Now that is a good one, because a lot of people who I work with are relatively new, and they're trying to learn the ropes, or they are trying to go from one level to another level within the business. And in terms of this, I will admit I tend to focus on process in terms of how to be successful, and that is the process of raising the bank finance, for argument's sake, securing the planning, managing a team of builders, tendering for builders to come and do work, and lots of different areas around that. I will admit I've not really thought of or shared, mainly because I'm not the expert in the room, about trademarks for their businesses. It's certainly something that a few of them may benefit from. It's not something that I've necessarily sat there and gone, oh, this is a core element of their business, because I'm not expert. I can help them with how to buy at auction. I can help them with how to read a legal pack, how to liaise with a solicitor, hire a surveyor, all the sort of tangible elements to their business. I'm not so strong. It may be something that you can provide an input to, so that we can educate people a little bit better.
Do you know, I should actually love to do that. So that's also part of the questions I'm asking you here, because there will be people who know you, because I will put your bio into the blurbs on YouTube, so that people who know you will see this and they will start to think for themselves, well, hang on, what is that woman talking about? Why is she asking all these questions the whole time of Andrew? Why is she so focused on trademarks? It is because there is a value to a trademark. Are you familiar with Bass Ale, for instance, the UK brand of ale?
I drove past it yesterday. There you go. You
So
didn't expect that, did you?
that is in actual fact the oldest trademark in history.
Oh,
Did you
wow.
know that?
No, I didn't. I didn't.
So the story goes that a clerk from Bass Ale was sent overnight to stand in front of the trademark offices on the very first day that it opened so that they would be the first to get their registered trademark. And that is how it's the oldest one. The value of it, it is still in use today, as we know. It is still an ale brand that you can buy to this day. And the importance of a trademark is that you can actually keep renewing it. It never ends. It can actually exist virtually indefinitely, so long as there's someone present who can see the value of it. People who are working for Bass Ale today obviously still see the value of it, which is why it is still enforced. And so your clients might actually, the people who are attending your mastermind might actually think, well, actually, I am creating something here that has value to other people. So maybe it would be beneficial to me to take out a trademark. And they might not know where to go, whom to turn to. You could then say, look, if this is something that you don't know, and if you don't want to waste your own time doing it, because it can actually take quite a while if you don't know what you're doing. You might get it wrong. You might get it rejected. That means waste of money and time and effort. So if you want to do it and have somebody actually do the application for you, I know someone who can do it. Me, of course. And so you might actually have some sort of synergy between us where you are providing an extra layer of service for your clients. Well, how would that feel to you?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's something which, as I said, I don't know enough about. And let's put it like this, as a qualified accountant, you have to stay within your areas of competency and only advise people on areas that you are competent in. It's not an area I'm competent in, so it's not an area I could authoritatively advise people do this, this, and this, and then you've got the result. It's something
That's
that
not
it
what I'm
needs a
suggesting.
referral or a connection to somebody that does know what they're doing.
Yeah. And so I was more saying that you might say, look, have you thought about doing this? I don't know enough about this. Here is somebody who knows about it. That was
Yeah,
more my
no,
thought process
definitely.
on it.
Yeah. Well, that's how it would have to be, because I'd be incompetent to try and tell people, other than there's somebody over there I know who has 100% track record. I'd suggest you talk to them because they sound knowledgeable, definitely more than me.
Yeah. All right. So we have been waffling for 31 minutes now. I think it's time to wrap it up. I am so appreciative of you having been here. Do you have any links to anything that you would like to promote so that people who are watching my YouTube channel can go and find you, like on LinkedIn or your website? Do you have any of those
Yeah.
links to hand so that you can provide them so that I can pop
Yeah.
them in the banner and in the text
Yeah.
afterwards?
I mean, if people went to the website, which is propertywithandrew.co.uk, I have links to all of my social media on there,
Well,
because that will give everybody the detail about the different services that I offer to support people investing wisely, safely in property without going gung-ho, without taking risk, and also having fun along the way. That's what life's about, having fun doing what
it
you do.
is about having fun, actually. It may not sound that way when we're talking trademarks and stuff like that and property. You might think, how can anyone have fun with either trademarks or property? It is actually possible because it can be enjoyable for people to work both with property and with trademarks. It doesn't have to be boring and it doesn't have to be dull. It doesn't have to be
Totally.
tedious.
Well, I've learned something today about Bass ales that I didn't know, and literally I drove past the brewery yesterday,
Oh, fantastic.
which is quite ironic that you mention it, and I'm like, wow. So you've brought yesterday's journey to life for me. Thank you.
I'm so glad I was able to do that. Do you have any other things that do you have any upcoming meetings you want to promote? Anything like that?
So our next event is the 24th of September,
Mm-hmm.
and if you're watching this before that event, it is all about holiday let, serviced accommodation, and short-term rentals, which is an incredibly popular investment strategy. And we have two guest speakers joining us, and I shall be giving a market update, and my business partner will be talking about things that we do that can help you in that particular strategy. So it'll be a very busy evening. There'll be over 300 like-minded investors in the room, and
Fantastic.
you're guaranteed to go home with your head filled with new ideas and new knowledge, and have met lots of people who you can do business with as well.
How fantastic is that? Okay, so thank you so much for joining me today. And
You,
as I
Celeste.
say, this is going out on my YouTube channel, and I will let you know when it happens. So I'm going to stop the
Certainly.
recording